let's get started, shall we? Hi again, everyone. Welcome to the Rewards Working Group meeting. It is March 16, and as always, we have a quite stacked agenda. Let's begin with the regular status updates from the praise development, source credits, the RAD dashboard, and the current ongoing rewards round 2, and then we have some discussion topics. We need to mention briefly the plan, or talk about the plan for rewards round 3. Let's talk about Bright ID integration, and continue the discussion about when and how to launch the new praise bot, and also talk a bit about praise automation. So let's begin with the praise status updates. Let's see. I put 5IV on the top of the list. He is not here. What can I say for him is that he was not actively working much last week because of exams, etc. in school, and we'll be working now on the continued development of the praise bot. So we will rearrange the praise bot commands slightly to make them to make the structure more future proof. That is his next issue. Matti, would you like to go next?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So I did a bunch of little tickets this week, but the one to note is that I refactored the authentication system to use refresh tokens. So the only important thing is, if you're doing development, just make sure you add these two new environmental variables to the API. But yeah, I don't think I need to go through all of them.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Add the environmental variables, and then I was weirdly logged out of the system. I thought it was a bug. Yeah, I'd say that is not a small ticket. That was quite a major thing that has been on our board for quite some time. The ability to refresh tokens without being logged out, etc. is important for the user experience. So we're really happy you did that. What will you be looking at next?
I've just been pulling from the top of the sprint backlog board, and just whenever I take something, I'll just assign it to myself. So yeah, as long as nobody else is working on stuff that they haven't assigned to themselves, I'll just keep doing that, pulling from the top.
Yeah, I might add in general, we try to, and that's what you also pushed us to do, Matti, to focus on the issues that are focus on the right issues the coming week and weeks. The issues that mostly affect the ongoing quantifications, etc. So we will also be focusing on new features. But if you quantifiers come up with like bugs appear when doing quantification, etc., those are the issues we should take on first. So, and Nebs, how about you?
Yeah, right now I'm working on file upload for settings, and I also had the same issue as you. I forgot about new variables because I worked on my branch for a long time, and today I merged dev and all the changes, so I had merge conflicts. I think I fixed those, and yeah, I was logged out every time I make request and didn't know why. But yeah, and also in that branch I fixed one other issue with settings. So So they should be okay after I push my changes.
Yeah. So that's this issue with the numeric settings not being saved.
Yep.
Nice. And then I wondered if you could take on. Yeah, we discussed something already, did we?
Yeah. This one, weekly cycles for quantification UI.
Yeah, but what I wanted to say is that I think that we should prioritize these issues at the top, the ones that I have marked red and high priority before doing anything else, basically. So the number settings are fixed. This error when marking duplicate praise, that is a real blocker for the quantifiers, if I understand correctly, Mitch, that it's difficult to work around. And the refresh token is fixed. It didn't need fixing. Remove message. There is no active quantification.
I just pushed that, so that's
that's a small one. Remove no active quantification. That's the one. Yeah, so basically that the only it would be nice, Nebs, if you can take on the
I can do that.
the error trying to mark duplicate praise. Cool. And what will I do? What have I been doing? I have not pushed that much code the last few days, and that's all good. I'm trying to focus more on the PMing and less coding. So, and the coming days, I will set up the production server, a new production server, so that we can move from having this IP address that we redirect the quantifiers to actually use the real address, which will be praise.tcommons.org. So I will set up a new production server. So I hope I will have that up for next quant. It shouldn't take that long. And when it comes to source cred development, I think we still need to have some config we need to do, or we need to get started with the doing grain distributions. I was hoping Matteo would come, but he's not here, so I will ping him one-on-one to get that started, because we need a grain distribution for the first reward, for the first rewards round, and for the second one as well, and for all coming rounds, so we can merge the source cred data with the praise data. And when it comes to the RAD dashboard, Nuggen has been not well the last week, so he is unable to demo the RAD dashboard, but he says that he will do it next week, which is good. And let me just show you quickly what I've been planning for the structure of that. So this is the general idea. I've set up a repository for quantification or rewards rounds data. So in this repository, we will create a folder per rewards round, and there we will store all the source data, like the praise exports, the list of the members of the reward board, the source credit grain data. And then we also will have the RAD dashboard running there. It doesn't run on GitHub because it's too large. Yeah, it did run. Actually, that would be really cool if we could run the analysis dashboard just by clicking on the file in GitHub. So let's see if that actually, if it works. Yeah, it produces result. This is a live data. And let's see if the graphs are being rendered as well. No, not. I would assume that Python notebooks including lots of graphs, etc., are not meant to be run directly on GitHub. Here's this should be a graph, for instance. But the general setup is that, so one folder per reward round, and if we produce a PDF or a scoreboard or whatever in the analysis afterwards, we will just place it there, so we have a nice structure to get good transparency, etc. Mitch, would you like to say anything about rewards round 2? What's up?
Yeah, lots of cat herding. There's like maybe about half a dozen people that haven't finished yet. And we're already hitting into our first corner issue there where people aren't responding and they aren't doing the quants. So kind of expected to happen, honestly. But we need to figure out a way as an administrator to like remove them or replace them or like just do the quant so that the entire process doesn't come to a screeching halt. So maybe that's something that we need to think about and honestly find a solution for fairly quickly, I think. Because it's happening now, you know, where I'm like, what do I do now?
Yeah, and the question there is, what is the solution? Is a praise being quantified by 2 quantifiers instead of 3 is not in itself a problem. Of course, it's the final score is a little bit less relevant. If it's quantified by just 1 quantifier instead of 3, I would say it's definitely a problem. So it's up to us as a community if we will accept certain praise being quantified by less quantifiers. Otherwise, we will need to find a method to replace quantifiers in the ongoing quantification process.
Yeah, like being able to replace somebody would be especially useful because I know that there's people who would quantify this stuff right away. You know, and so as an admin and like you can have a change log and everything there, like I can remove an active quantifier and put one in their place so they get the same set of praise. It starts at 0 and then that person can like be notified because like I think that's the best way, and like the comms are really easy to do because then it's just like one DM and like you're able to deal with the issue mid-flight. The second thing is like, what do we do with quantifiers who are in the pool and don't respond? We just remove them, like that's it, one shot, you're gone, or?
I think we should remove them until they say they are interested again. Then we add them again. And regarding the other thing, I think it would be also nice to have like, you know, like some people that is interested, like to, you know, quantify praise when this thing happens. Because I think, you know, choosing randomly, not randomly, but with the finger, you are going to quantify goes kind of against our process. So maybe like we could say, it could even be people on the reward board or people who is not in the reward board but also wants to keep quantifying when the price is needed, and then have like a second pool. I don't know if that complicates many things, but I feel like that would be more fair than saying, "Hey, Joseph, go and quantify this."
Yeah, I mean, you still have the randomness, right? So it's like a random draft, but if it arises that like somebody is not going to do it, then like as an administrator, like you can take action and replace them, so that the system the system can keep moving.
Yeah. What happens if? Sorry, if the quantification is already ongoing, so let's say a person quantifies a third of their assigned praise, and then
reset to 0 when they were replaced.
But then what happens if you reassign somebody and they still don't do it, and then you reassign somebody else and they still don't do it? I think there has to be like 3 reassignments or something. I don't know.
Assign myself and I'll just do it, man.
Maybe after 3 random assignments, you can pick the person. I don't know.
Oh, you mean still randomly assigning? I think it'll be easier to pick somebody. Like we still have the randomness of the initial draft, and then like an admin can manually put somebody in. There's a change log. There's a certain level of accountability to it, so that like it's transparent still, but it's like there has to be some way where like an administrator can take direct action, so the system can keep moving. And playing this like randomness game like doesn't help us when we need to take like immediate action.
There might be a change log in the future. There is not anyone yet.
Right.
But yeah, I agree. I don't think the reassignment should be random, because then. But on the other hand, that opens up for a new avenue of possible gamification, like the administrator, booting someone and picking someone, more favorable to whatever. But I think the change log, a visible change log, would ameliorate most of that. Because it's a small community, everyone knows everyone more or less, and as long as your actions are highly visible, the social pressure of doing the right thing is enough. Is my hunch, at least.
So what we have to do is we have to kind of like pick what's the best way or what's the easiest solution now to do, because I think for this quant, like there's people that aren't going to do their quant. So is there a way that we can go around this now?
Yes, we can hack a reassignment script. Fairly easy. I think if we want to get it done like really soon.
Yeah, or just query. Just do it directly with a database query as a quick solution.
Yeah, that should work, shouldn't it? Because it's the same, that the quantification objects in the praise, those can stay, and we just replace the user IDs in the quantification objects and reset to 0.
Yep.
So it's it's doable in one query.
Yeah.
Okay, then Mitch, your wish can come true. Send us the list of who gets booted and who takes their place, and we'll fix it.
Cool. And maybe for carrying this discussion forward, should we pack this all into a GitHub issue, or what's the best way to go about GitHub issue? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's good. I would like to think about it a little more, like, I don't know. I would like to keep as much of the credible neutrality as possible with, like, reassignment.
Sure. Yeah, okay, we'll make a GitHub issue then.
Cool.
Would it help
sorry?
Would it help to have a group of people that signal that they would be available to be picked like that, and then that this redistribution should pick one of those people that are signaled in the list?
I mean, ideally, everybody has signaled that they're available by being in the quantifier pool, and I think like this like signaling process and waiting for a response, like the timeline that we're working with, which is 3 days, which I think we're gonna have to extend it, honestly. And then like this whole process will take at least like a day, maybe 2 days to like find a replacement quantifier. Just the matter of like a global,
Mm-hmm. I was just thinking in advance that like the signal would be done once and would be there in advance. So there is not like so much of a hand pickling. Like maybe it could be a random of those that are assigned, because there is a difference of participating in a full period and being called last minute to do everything in a day. It's different types of availability, I think.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, let's get this stuff written down. I'll make an issue right now.
And I also I've thought about that, the drawbacks of doing the random assignment. If we have a large quantifier pool, that means that maybe you're not assigned this period and not the period after that, and it takes 2 months pass, and you're not assigned as a quantifier, and then all of a sudden you are assigned, and then you might not be available anymore.
Yeah, maybe there's a need to like quickly have people like confirm their availability. Like, you've been assigned to be a quantifier for this pool. Click here to confirm. You have 24 hours to confirm, and if you don't confirm, then it automatically reassigns to somebody else. Some way that we get a confirmation from people who are in the pool to make sure they're actually going to be available that week.
And that's the cool thing with working with this Discord bot, and we have started talking about sending messages from admins to quantifiers, etc., to initiate a message from the dashboard or from a bot command, initiating that message, and when you as a quantifier user gets the message from the Discord bot, you can react to that message directly and just with an emoji, or I think you can add, I don't know if you can add buttons, or if that is only in Telegram, stuff like that. So that would be cool to explore how we can make those kinds of interactions really smooth. Perhaps we should move on. Mitch, if you're done writing that down, we could move on to talk about rewards round 3. And I think we have like eight rounds to do before we are back to present time. But then, of course, time passes while we were doing the. So I think it will be like 10 rounds or something before we're back to present time, unless we add another month to the next period and do 2 months at a time. Now, to me, it felt like doing. I was assigned 180 praise. That went really quickly to do, and like 50% of those praise is the praise of the kind praise someone for attending a meeting. So it's just like click, 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 super fast. What do you say?
Yeah, so right now I think it took me like a solid hour, and I don't want to assume like people's bandwidth, but I guess 10 distributions, that's going to take us 2.5 months then, and realistically we should be done development. We could try it. We could try 2 months, and if it's a complete disaster, well.
Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's wise not to push it. If we have a pace, we know that this amount, around 200 praise per quantifier in a week, that is okay. That has worked for those that do their quants.
Yeah, I would like to get, if we get like another dozen quantifiers, maybe we could up it without increasing too much the praise per quantifier. But right now I think there's 26 in the pool, and we use 21 for this round, so we're kind of like nearing the top. And that was something I was going to do after this call, was put out another blast for quantifiers.
Yep. But rewards round 3 starts on Monday and is for the full month of September then, or?
Yep. September. And then we'll schedule another call. I'm curious to see how the call is going to go today, like the tweak session. Maybe that's another point, but Yeah, so I'll close the round on Friday, assuming that we figure out these delinquents, and then we'll set it up and open up round 3 for Monday. And we'll do another let us meet, and we'll organize the tweak session and all that jazz.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, for the tweak session, should I export the current quantification state and bring it into this spreadsheet so we can see it and make any adjustments? Or is it, I guess you really would want the quantification to be done when that happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how's that gonna look if we've got like big sections that are empty, I wonder?
Would be a bit weird, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is my problem, is I think like 3 days is too short. I think it needs to be like 5. You know? So I think maybe we'll have to do the tweak session on like the Friday or like the Monday after, when like the next round is already open.
Mm.
Because I think 3 days isn't enough for people to get around to it.
Mm.
What if we get the weekend in those days? Like we open on Friday and then close on Wednesday. So it would technically be like kind of like we have now, but then people would have the weekend if they need.
Can we do okay, Friday to Wednesday? Yeah. I mean, there's no harm in it really, like Monday to Wednesday versus Friday to Wednesday.
You had some idea before about the benefit of doing the distribution on a Friday, that it would be nice to, I don't know, get your rewards paid out for the weekend.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
can take your TEC tokens to the local bar and spend it.
it'd be cool like just to have the whole thing done like within a week, right? But it would still work. Like you open up the round, it still would be done on the same day, so it would be theoretically done on the Wednesday. You could have the sync session at the end of the week, and then you could have the distro go out the Friday, the same time when the next round opens.
Yeah.
And this is only exceptional because I think once we are all caught up, we're going to be doing this bi-weekly. So we'll have quite a bit more breathing room after we've caught up.
Yeah, I really like Matt's suggestion too to add this confirmation period. So maybe we could open on Thursday and people have from Thursday to Friday to respond if they're active or not, and then it automatically starts on Friday. And Thursday would be the day after our tweaking session, and if anything we need to talk about, it would be ready for that.
I think I'm thinking about the confirmation as during the quantification period, just basically automating reassigning any quantifiers who aren't going to be able to commit. I don't think it necessarily changes the schedule.
I understood you said that we would give them 24 hours before the quantification starts for them to say if they're confirming their presence or not. I think that would be good to have.
Yeah, that's one option. It could also be. It could. I think it would be functionally the same either way. Whether it had. The difference is my version could be like asynchronous. Like it could replace a single. Like it could start the quantification. A bunch of people could start working, and then it could swap out people that couldn't commit. It doesn't have to do a whole like committing phase and then starting quantification phase.
That could still happen, but I think it would be good to have, like, I mean, if people commit and they don't show up, then maybe what you're saying could come in place. But it might be good to have that one day of awareness without like Mitch having to cat herd every single person, to have that process automated.
Okay, I want to throw in another option. A quantifier that doesn't deliver. So you as an administrator press a button in the praise dashboard to reassign that praise, and all available quantifiers get notified, and the one who jumps on it first gets assigned.
All the non-drafted ones.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
And thereby perhaps avoiding the issue Matt you described of reassigning to someone that also is inactive.
And we're assuming that we'll be doing notifications via Discord through the bot.
Yeah.
Does anyone think that that's a bad idea? I really like this idea.
The future.
Yeah.
No, I really believe we could build really cool and good user experiences using sort of a mesh between web pages and bot interactions, and we've done in the good way.
Yeah, and automatically when we need to reassign, do we remove them from the pool at the same time? Or should that be a whole separate process?
Let's discuss the details in the issue further.
Okay.
I think we need to move on if we have a chance to get to the end. So we have 25 minutes, and we have 3 topics to cover: the Bright Idea integration, the Praise bot launch, and Praise automation. So let's go right ahead with the Bright Idea integration. Livy, what would you say? What is the current status? I was hoping that perhaps that Adam was going to be here, but he's not.
Yeah. I think he gave a good suggestion that we could do something like this page for the TC where let me put the link in the chat.
And if I understood correctly, you as a TEC user, you link your Ethereum address on that page. You sort of link your Ethereum address to the TEC Bright ID app. And when that has happened, we can just do a basic API call to check if that address is verified from Bright ID, sort of.
Yeah, from what I understood is that he was suggesting we could build something like that customized for the TC. So you would have this process of like getting verified and then providing your address and linking the address to Bright ID.
Yeah.
And from here we could do we could like match with our database. The only challenge here would be that we have 2 different databases from SourceGrad and from Praise.
Yeah, and we need to keep the use cases separate. Well, what do we want to achieve? I'd say the one thing is that we want to mint this reputation token, and we want to be sure that we pay out rewards only to Bright ID verified users. For that, we don't need any integration with the Praise or SourceGrad. We just need this that's on the screen now, because we will have a list of Ethereum addresses when the distribution is calculated and done. And if we can filter that list from any addresses that are not Bright ID verified, then we have all we need to mint the reputation token and ensure that we do payouts only to verified users. So that is one use case. And the other use case is, to me, a little bit more unclear. That would be maybe represent for Praise. We want to not allow unverified users to praise at all, for instance. Or what is the other use case?
No, I don't think that's even in discussion. I think everyone should be able to praise and that we should have access to this data from all the community and have the analysis with that and all, just not distribute the rewards. And then having something to people that weren't verified and maybe they get verified in the future and they could still access their score. So you were saying that that would be valuable for us nonetheless, right? For people that maybe didn't give their addresses before and then whenever they give to be able to redeem
Yeah.
rewards and maybe get into the next distribution period.
Yeah, and that will be a headache with or without Bright ID verification, because that is
Mhm.
so that is the last remaining, not the last, but a big remaining question mark. How do we keep track of if we have 10 praise rewards periods and we have different Ethereum addresses in each period, and how do we keep track who gets paid for what? And if I as a user connect my Ethereum addresses when 4 praise periods have passed, how do I make sure that I get paid for those periods that I have missed? So we need to figure out a smart, a really smart spreadsheet. Or, but since the money is involved, it feels a little bit. We would like to do something more secure than just keeping that info in a spreadsheet.
How if we go this route with like Bright ID integration, how modular is it? Like, say later on down the road when we want to sell the reward system, um, are we able to remove this component easily, or
This solution is not integrated with Praise at all. This is a standalone web page that just links your Ethereum address to Bright ID, and then as the last step in our process, we can query that information. But that is after the RAD dashboard has been run through. So that is I don't know how we do that in practice. If we build a script to run this, or if we do it just manually, or so that is still to be discovered.
I guess the two solutions that Adam suggested was just that we could use the Bright ID Discord bot that, from my understanding, it's pretty much ready. We could just like plug and play. And then we would just need to have a map of addresses with Discord handles. Or we could build this web page that I'm showing that it would be like the solution would be ready. We wouldn't need this map of Discord and addresses because we would have that already. And and that building this is fairly simple. So I feel like if this is gonna save us manual work, maybe we could just do that. And then the only challenge was like where do we plug how do we incentivize people to sign up for Bright ID? From what I understood from Vive IV was that we could put in the onboarding of the TEC in general, and then as soon as people join, they are already like directed to Bright ID, or we could put that in the bots that people register to Source Credit and Praise.
Yeah,
or both.
yeah, and that's much more complicated, because then we, like I wrote in the thread, then we need to add a bunch of code to already existing bots, etc. And I think that this solution is really simple and beautiful. We would just put up this web page, and I think the incentives are super clear. You register with Bright ID to be able to receive rewards, and register with Bright ID to receive reputation token that will allow you to vote in the conviction in the quadratic voting. Those are strong incentives, and it will be a nice looking landing page where we also can squeeze in other messages about TEC. So it's become sort of also a branding for the TEC. But we still can integrate it with the onboarding bot. So YYV integrates that with when you become a member of the Discord or of the TC, we link you to this page. So as part of becoming a member of the TC is to activate your account using BrightID, so that you can receive rewards and you can receive the reputation token to vote.
That sounds nice. And then just, of course, the only problem would be if people register Bright ID with one address and reward systems with another address. That maybe would have to be like a cultural awareness thing.
Yeah, and we can make sure to mention that in the both on that web page and also when you do Praise Activate on when you activate your Ethereum address in Praise, we can explicitly say that. Remember to use the same address as the one you used when you did the Bright ID verification, and the same goes for source cred.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then the last part is just this minting reward rep tokens that we would need would we need someone from the board committed to that every period, or it's something we can program, kind of automate?
My guess is that the process would need to look basically exactly the same as not exactly the same as paying out the TC tokens, because we have them in a wallet. Very similar, that we need to mint new tokens each time, and that is always a fairly manual process unless we build some sort of server that has the private keys so that it can mint. But we're doing so much manual stuff in this process anyway, so adding another thing, it's...
Yeah, maybe it could go in the same batch, like the same day and time. One thing is happening, just adding the other one until we have a better solution.
Mitch, you know the Aragon agent, etc. Would it be possible to have like feed one list of addresses and amounts into the DAO, an Aragon agent, and that agent transfer TEC tokens and mints reputation tokens?
The TEC would. I think you could batch it with EVM CRISPR. I think it's possible. Sending funds is easy, like batching funds, but then minting tokens. And I'm assuming the tokens will be minted from another smart contract somewhere. These reputation tokens. So then the agent would have to make an external call to this function to mint these tokens. Yeah.
I guess they could also be token transfers. In general, we would want the tokens to be non-transferable for them to be good reputation tokens. But maybe they can be transferable if it's for admins. I don't know.
Well, I think minting it is easy enough. You're just gonna have to get somebody smarter than me to figure out what the actual script would look like. But I think it's possible.
Yep. I think Sam offered to give us assistance on AVM CRISPR. Also.
Yeah, and what this smart contract needs to take, like the actual information, the data that the smart contract needs to receive so that it understands to mint these tokens to these addresses.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can work with Sam once we figure that out.
Cool. It seems like we have a rough plan. We will need to hash out the details. Let's move on to the new PraiseBot launch. And the question, the number one question is, are we ready to launch the bot on the community call next week? Vi, you told me you could do a short demo.
Yeah, sure. I think once we move to the new command structure, uh, there shouldn't be any issues with that. We should probably have a smooth transition unless there's any breaking changes that pop up during the next week. It doesn't feel like there might be anything uh, that could cause that, but yeah, we should be good to
Yeah,
go.
and I'd say that has to do with if you believe that you will be done with the new command structure like tomorrow, sort of, so that we can push. And I would like to really test to test run the bots with it, because then we could instruct all the quantifiers, like you go ahead and send some praise to
Yeah,
each
totally.
other to try it out.
Yeah, we can do it tomorrow.
And other than that, are there any launch? There isn't much of a launch, but is it someone opposing that we should demo it and retire the old praise bot next week? If something doesn't work, we could always reinstate the old bot in
Yeah,
5
one thing
minutes.
that we might want to look into is like ensuring that this is the command structure that we're willing to stick with. Just because like if we introduce one type of command to the community and then we suddenly change it, people keep using the old command and then forget about it. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to lock the new structure down now.
Something that isn't exactly critical, but I think it would probably be need to handle it would be like rendering the IDs inside the message content for the roles and the channels. Mostly because it's like harder to quantify when it's just a number. Uh, but I don't know. We can probably make a for like temporarily. We can make like a reference document where they can look up all the IDs. Slightly more work, but if we're not like still decided on what kind of path we want to take with structuring this, we could probably just stick with like a temporary solution for now.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't understand what this is about, is when we receive, when the praise system receives a raw praise from Discord, and someone has mentioned someone else or mentioned a channel or mentioned we get a tag and an ID number, and that is what you're seeing when quantifying these tags that don't say much. And the question is, do we would like to, of course, transform them back into something readable. And if you have a long list of praise, should we try to fetch from the Discord API for each of those numbers? That might not be a good idea. So we need to figure out some smart, possibly some smart caching solution, or filter those and transform those tags into readable information the first time we receive the data. But then we don't have the stored ID, which could be bad for the other reasons. It's good to have the IDs stored for future reference, sort of.
One thing we could maybe look into is like caching all of the Discord ID objects beforehand. Like that would involve just going through the whole server and just looking at all the channels. We can just make like a simple map of the channel IDs and to the whatever the channel name, the Discord channel object. Some of the properties we can probably store, and also with the maybe the roles, and then the like and it's like instead of being something that it has to fetch over from the Discord API, it's just something that gets processed beforehand.
Yeah.
Just so that we don't have to make too many API calls.
Yeah. Yeah, let's discuss that further. But a possible Discord ID cache solution, sort of. would be one option.
The bot does create a cache. Right now it uses the default one that the library implemented, but if we need it, it has like the ability to use like a custom cache. So if we look into like some caching solution like Redis, we can maybe in use it for both the bot and the backend if we're interested in doing that, because that cache automatically gets created for the bot whenever we run the bot.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as we keep the footprint of the installation small, because I would like the whole thing to be able to be. You should be able to run the whole thing on like the smallest or maybe the second smallest DigitalOcean droplet, ideally. So adding Redis to the mix, I guess, is also adds to the system requirements. But let's look into that further and make a decision quite quickly if we want to add this feature to before launching the bot, or if we can live a little longer with having the tags, the meaningless tags, and we can give it some more thought. But the command structure we definitely need to adjust before launching into the wild. Can we spend the last 5 minutes on talking about praise automation? Or I would like to do that. Gustavo, are you there?
Hello. Yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Hello. So yeah, praise automation. I didn't know a lot of the things that were happening around, and this meeting has been very helpful to understand all of the efforts that are being done around praise and source credit and automation. But yeah, being involved in the last quantification process, I just thought about a couple of ideas of making the process easier. I understand that the quantification I was involved in was very large. There were a lot of data that needed to be quantified for. But I was just thinking that some of the uh, praise records, like they were like meeting attendances, or like the most simple examples that we already all know, that they have like less value than participating in something larger or more involved in the community. And I was just thinking that maybe we could develop, or I could develop, a system that could identify those differences and assign a value to them in a more automated way, probably maybe not at first, but through development, have it integrated as a quantification bot, or just wholly eliminating the human part and moving the human part more into a validation phase of that quantification, like identifying records that are not easy to quantify, or just identifying inconsistencies. Or I was mentioning on the forum that maybe it could be used to identify when users try to game the system. I don't know. I know it's not a project that can be done like in a day. But maybe I could start like experimenting, maybe like doing something very simple at first, like maybe classifying the praise being given, and then maybe in the end, when the system is more advanced or more developed, instead of having like 5 people quantifying, maybe have 4 and the bot, and just use it as a comparison way, just to see if the bot is learning correctly or is quantifying correctly, and just get that new software, new script into the process involved, see where that gets us. So I just wanted to discuss. I know there are like a couple of things that are people are worried about, in terms of like gaming the system and gaming the script, or there were other elements that were being mentioned on the forum by Maddie. Yeah, and yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm open to discussing, and if this is something that is already being done, or is something that you guys think that is of no value, just totally understand that. But I just wanted to put it out there and be open to discuss it. Yeah.
I just wanted to give you some historical perspective on this. Is that we have the ambition of praise quantification being a manual, like at least a semi-manual process that has a value in itself. Involving people as quantifiers also make them involved in the community, because they have to learn what others are doing, etc., etc. So it has other values, and these really simple praising of simple contributions, those are, we hope to get rid of those. We would like to move, so the general focus is to try to move everything that can be automatically quantified should be moved over to source cred. That is our hopes and plan. So we are building a meeting tracker bot for those, and also we will build a Twitter tracker bot, hopefully, to be able to move all that stuff. So sort of one of the ambitions have been to raise the quality of praise. And now we're quantifying the old praise, and we hope that newer praise will have higher quality. But I still see that there could be a need for something like this, absolutely. Not at least to something to verify against and to identify patterns. And there will definitely be room for doing like automated analysis of praise and quantifications to make that an integrated part of the process. So I would be super happy to see you experiment with the data.
Yeah. Now I saw that you uploaded it to GitHub. Maybe I can start playing with the CSV files and see maybe some new ideas raised from just playing around, and maybe I can show you guys whatever I come up with.
Super happy to see already day one the benefit of uploading the CSV files to GitHub. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good starting point.
Okay, to be continued.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for coming. It was a pleasure as always. See you soon.